The City of Arches Kickstarter is going on right now. This is my latest book, a high fantasy city source book for lazy game masters, compatible with pretty much every fantasy role-playing game, all of the 5e variants, Shadow Dark, Shadow the Weird Wizard, 13th Age, whatever your favorite fantasy role-playing game is, you can find value out of this book to help you build awesome adventures in this highly fantastic city. One of the things I want to show today is the free adventure that you can get in the sample pages on the Kickstarter. The link to the Kickstarter is in the show notes below. You can download the free 42-page sample, which includes a whole primer on the city itself, how to use the book, what the book includes, and give you a really good idea of how the book is built and structured and the kinds of things that you'll get, but also includes an introduction adventure. I did another video on that called called Golgoron Arises, and a short adventure that kind of tags onto the end of that, where the characters are delving into the crypts of the dead in order to stop an evil cult from opening up a gateway to another world. And we're going to take a look at that adventure right now. So the Obsidian Skull is a short first level adventure. You could probably run it in a couple of hours pretty tightly. You could run it independently of everything else. You can just have it be its own independent adventure, or you can tie it directly to the introduction scenario for the City of Arches called Golgoron Arises. Golgoron Arises is sort of my favorite way to sort of introduce the City of Arches to the characters. I did a whole other video about Golgoron Rises, so I'm not going to talk about that. But the end of Golgoron Rises, the idea is an evil cultist tried to stop Garland Willamane from welcoming this new entity into the City of Arches and is trying to remind him, hey, you're this super powerful devil. You should come join us, or you know, be who you are, be the true devil that you are. And you can sort of follow the trail of this cultist back to this cult that's doing stuff in the crypts of the dead. So that is all tied to this first level adventure at the end. It is one of several adventures that are going to be included in the main book. It's a very quick kind of first level adventure that is available in the sample pages. So the Obsidian Skull begins when the characters are given a job. In this case, the job can be given by pretty much anybody, but Rosalind Zesh, the spy master to the Queen, is a major quest driver, one of the main quest NPCs in the City of Arches. I find her to be a really, really solid quest NPC. She's lots of fun. She's super smart. She's, a spy master, so she's kind of shifty, but it's really sort of fun. And she basically says, hey, look, I know there is a weird cult that is doing something back in the tombs of the crypts of the dead. And I would like to send you, I have sent somebody there to try to find out what's going on. And that person is Quintus Harotos, a halfling spy who infiltrated the cult and made their way into the area, but has now not been heard from. So she's like, hey, I could use a group to go in there and get my man out and figure out what the hell is going on with this cult. The cult is actually the Children of Abraxas. The Children of Abraxas are one of like two major cults. There's obviously as many cults as you want in the City of Arches because I love cultists, but they are one of two cult groups that operate in the City of Arches. The Children of Abraxas, the other main one being the Knights of the Nameless King. The Children of Abraxas are following a leader who believes that he is from this alien abyssal world called Abraxas and is trying to open up a permanent gateway, a big permanent gateway between Abraxas and the City of Arches so that he can flood the City of Arches with all of the demons that exist in Abraxas, including the demon prince who rules over Abraxas. A demon prince named Chul, who rules over the cursed abyssal realm of Abraxas. Anyway, they are more of the chaotic side of the cultists, and one of them is the one who tried to bring Golgoron, a horned devil, over to their side. So meanwhile, what is going on in this place is that cultists of the Children of Abraxas have found an old crypt beneath or behind a more recent crypt, or an old chamber behind another crypt, where they found a gateway to the world of Abraxas and are attempting to open it. And they actually are managed to open it. It's a small portal though, so luckily it's not going to overtake the entire city if it opens up. But it's a way to kind of see what is going on. So the theme of the adventure is that the characters are going into this tomb to stop the Children of Abraxas from doing whatever they're doing and rescue Quintus Harotos. It is a short sort of 3-room dungeon. So here's an example of the map. There is a crypt itself, Then there is a set of like ruined caves, and then there's the hidden chamber behind it. And the hidden chamber is kind of where all of the main stuff is going on. Now, I ran this adventure for my home group just recently, and I made a couple of changes to it. One is that I wanted to tie this adventure into some larger stuff. So I had the tomb that you enter is actually tied to the family of the Summervines, because there is an adventure toolkit as part of the City of Arches that will be available in the main book called The Secrets of Summervine Villa. And I said that the Summervine family used to be known as the Gustav family, and the Gustav family had a tomb here. So that means that the Summervines might have actually been connected to the cultists who went into the Gustav tomb to go behind the wall. So I just put a little hint in there. And that's just an example of the hint that I put in. You can put in whatever hints you want, depending on the kind of campaign that's going on. So I highly recommend customizing little hints about what, drop in little seeds that can fuel people's adventures in the future. The other one is I had a player join us in the middle of this group. He wasn't available for session 1, for session 0, where we did Golgoron Arises, but he did show up for session 1. And I said, wouldn't it be interesting if his character replaced Quintus Haratos? So instead of having a spy NPC, it was actually one of the characters that they ran into. And that way there was a way to kind of introduce a new character into the group and have this character tied to Rosalind Sesh, because they worked for Rosalind Sesh, which is why they came in. That actually worked rather well. So the dungeon itself is a very straightforward sort of approach. You walk into area 1, there's some curtains, and on the other side of the curtains are 2 cultists that are torturing, they're getting ready to kind of like sacrifice and hardly questioning Quintus Haratos to find out information. The characters can, of course, stop this and free Quintus Haratos, who then gives some information to the characters about what's been going on. The fact that the cultists of the Children of Abraxas found an obsidian skull in a hidden chamber and a lost cisterns beneath the City of Arches. So another adventure location they can go to find out how they got that and what else is going on there, along with scrolls detailing a ritual to open the archway. The leader of the branch, Urvana Spellstar, determined that this tomb is the location of the archway. So they found a key to an arch, and they found the arch, and they found the ritual to use the key to open up the gateway, which is a common pattern for the arches in the City of Arches, that the arches are largely dormant. Sometimes somebody will come through from one side sort of randomly, but there are keys that can open up arches. And really, the whole arches and the whole keys are vehicles for the GMs to be able to steer the adventure wherever they want. There's no hardened mechanics for them. So you could have multiple keys can open up one archway to multiple different places, for example. You could have an archway that is permanently open. There are a couple of archways that are permanently open. They're always there. Just everybody generally leaves them alone. And lots of times stuff doesn't pop out the other side. There could be, like, finding a key could be a really long quest to open up a big archway that goes to someplace important. Or you could find keys that can open up simple archways. You could also have keys that only work once or only work twice. Maybe one key works when you go in and then back out, but then it doesn't work anymore. So it's a really good dial and a gauge. And this is some of the advice that I offer in the book, where I describe, like, how does this work as a story element when you're running your games in the City of Arches, is you get to decide what keys open up what arches and things like that. In this case, it is like a key that requires a ritual to open an archway, but it's not going to be permanent no matter what is going on, but they're bringing bad things through. Room 1, you find out about the cultists and you rescue Quintus Haratos. Room 2, you go through the catacombs on the other side. There is a crossbow trap. There is some stuff to kind of explore. There are elements of history that the characters can pick up in this chamber. So this is all in this longer hall here. And of course, if you wanted to, you could throw some monsters. Hey, you want to have some giant rats? Throw some giant rats, right? That can certainly work. I think I threw some gray oozes in here just to kind of, I was making a longer adventure out of it. So I threw some gray oozes in this area. But you can run it without any oozes at all, and it'll certainly run faster. That's another element you'll find to the adventures that are right for the City of Arches. My intention is that you will have dials that you can turn to either slow down or speed up adventures depending on how long you want them to be and what the pacing of the adventure feels like. There's a crossroad trap at the end of the hall, which the Children of Abraxas set up, and then you get into the chamber itself. And this is a kind of a nice big boss fight for a first level group. You have a cult fanatic and you have some cultists. Some bad things happen depending on what rounds are going on. And again, you have flexibility in changing these things as they go. But essentially, like round one, that they have a grim chanting that they're hearing, that the portal is going active, and that the cultists have advantage on attack rolls and saving throws while this chant is going on. In round two, a huge yellow eye peers out of the shadow swirling in the arch. Before initiative count 20 on the next turn, each creature who starts their turn within 30 feet of the arch, including Irvana and the cultists, must succeed on a DC 10 charisma saving throw or take 4 psychic damage. The cultists are compelled to behold the eye, so they take the damage because they're like, oh, look, they have to look at it. But the players can avert their eyes. If they avert their eyes until the end of the next turn, they have disadvantage and they're treated as though they are blind. And then round three, Dretch comes forth. I actually kind of beefed up the Dretch a little bit. You could have multiple Dretches as you want, depending on how you feel about it. I used the Dretch stat block, but gave them more hit points because we had more than 4 characters. And they defeated the Dretch. I think I also had the Dretch devour the cultists or kill Irvana themselves and stuff like that. And then the characters defeated the Dretch, the portal went dormant, they had the Obsidian Skull, and now what do they do with it? Do they bring the Obsidian Skull back to Rosalind Zesh? Do they destroy it? Do they try to sell it to a shady fence? Do they further investigate where the skull came from? And this starts a whole line of investigation that can go into one of the major campaign arcs, which you can find in the sample chapter called The Key of Worlds. And the whole idea behind the Key of Worlds is that the children of Abraxas are trying to find one key that can open up the largest gateway or any of the gateways in the City of Arches to whatever realms they want to go to. It is a 1st to 20th level campaign you can follow. It's the one that I'm using. I'm actually mixing this campaign arc with another one of the campaign arcs in the book called The Rise of the Nameless King. I am shuffling the two of these together so that nice, fun complications, lots of options for characters and what they want to do, and 2 different storylines, 2 different groups that are both doing these things. It's lots of fun. But you can find an example of the campaign arc for the Key of Worlds inside the sample chapters as well, and see how it connects to the arrival of Gorgoron, the Obsidian Skull, and so on. So that's the example of the Obsidian Skull. So this is an example of the kind of adventure you can find in the City of Arches sourcebook. This adventure itself is in the sample chapters for the Kickstarter, so you can find it there. You can, when you have the sample chapters in hand, you can run those scenarios yourself, see how it plays out, and hopefully enjoy it as much as many other GMs and many other groups who have enjoyed it in the past. And I'm really excited about it. If you like it, please consider backing the City of Arches sourcebook. You will not be disappointed. I am super excited about this book. I really love it. I'm running it myself, and I really love it. I wish I had the final book in my hand. I am running with the current draft, which is awesome. But boy, I wish I had the full version in my hand when I was running it. But it's really, really fun. And I think you're really going to love it. So please consider supporting my Kickstarter. It's the best way that you can support the work that I do. You can find a link in the show notes. Thank you so much.